week I missed it, or I mean the previous call 2 weeks ago. He was more busy back then, right? DJ was back, I think.
Indeed, he wasn't back yet, but he did manage to hop onto the call via chat and relayed some questions and some updates. Okay, so today is the 6th of September, 2023. This is the bi-weekly Effect Network DAO call. Today, on the bi-weekly DAO call agenda, we don't have any items. If anybody in the call does have any items they would like to add to the agenda, please do say so. We'll discuss them as we go on. Or any questions or statements, please do let us know. Do you, Jesse or Rochelle, have any items that you would like to add to the agenda today?
So mainly, I think just an update on everything that's going on, like what we've been doing. For me, I haven't been here in the last call, so yeah, technical update and project update would be, I think, good to share. Also saw like a really nice message or like well written out message by Burn in the Guardian chat. Maybe we can quickly go over it. And we have one proposal, right? It's currently
That's right. The proposal to replenish the developer fund.
Yeah, exactly. Is that right? That one is in the current cycle. Oh gosh, I forgot the vote. But yeah, that one maybe we can also recap. I don't know if that happened last call, but in case it didn't, we could still just quickly recap it because it's approved.
Yeah, indeed. There was also one agenda item I wanted to add was the potential deprecation of the Binance Smart Chain accounts.
Yeah, fair. I think we should mention, like, this is something I really have a lot of thoughts about after developing the new protocol, Effect Network 2.0. This is not yet well written out or anything. So, but I have a lot of, that's a good comment, David. I don't know if that's been a topic already. And yeah, we can definitely touch on it if we have time, because I do have a lot of thoughts on it.
Great. So before we get started with the updates, let's take a quick look at the proposal. The one that recently closed is then proposal 143, proposal to replenish the developer fund. There were 18 yes votes, 13 million vote weight in total, 3 abstain votes, 252,000 in total. So yes, this one passed. It was a proposal to replenish the developer fund with, I think it was 300,000 EFX. We showed how the previous developer fund was used and like and the intention of this upcoming 300,000 EFX is then to attract more developers to Effect Network to help develop the upcoming features. Have doubts about that, the front end and the Effect.js SDK. So it's been accepted, and the next step is to actually execute it and write out the developer tickets for the bounty board. Besides that, there doesn't seem to be any other active proposals or proposals in draft for the next cycle. So if anybody has any ideas for proposals, please do let us know and or create one yourself, please. I think that would be a good moment then to go into the updates if there are no comments.
Maybe I just wanted to, because I missed the last call. I don't know if I missed anything you guys discussed, because I didn't manage to listen yet to the recording. But the developer pool, there's no up, like it's the concept will be the same, right? Because sorry, I'm just trying to open the proposal. There is a list of the utilization of the previous funds, which is really nice to see. So previously there's been 105K paid out in EFX across these tickets, and we're replenishing it for 300K, which is nice. So the developer committee, is it still the same group of people?
At the moment, it is. We never changed the configuration for it. So with Lawrence being a bit less active and busy with other things, in that sense, it has changed. But with the developer committee still being primarily Miguel, DJ, you, and I.
Right, I'm just checking out. So in blockchain, the developer committee is defined as you, DJ, myself, and Lawrence. Okay, cool. So that is then the developer committee at the moment. I don't see it specifically set down. So we have basically as a task now to figure out the tickets for basically figure out tickets and rewards for utilizing the fund. Right. So maybe I don't know if this is part of the proposal, but we should at least set up like a monthly or maybe just a one-off call to sort of distribute or to have a sense of how to distribute the funds, I guess, because we're starting almost with a clean sheet, or at least not a like we have cleaned up a lot of the old tickets, and I think the current developer board is quite empty, which is great because we needed more focus and a more clear description, I think, for the tickets. But we should set up the initial list, right, and the path forward, basically the strategy for using the funds.
Agreed. We should be
Okay, cool.
a bit clearer on how to use it going forward.
Yeah, no, that's clear. I just wanted to quickly recap because it's been a while and I don't the ticket was the I missed that part in the proposal, right? But it's like we have 4 members of the board of these funds, so I'm excited to set up this plan for the the utilization of these funds because we have so much going on. And prioritizing and writing out like tickets for newcomers is going to be nice to do. So let's set up I'll take it to Discord and set up a call soon.
Indeed. Especially now that we have a little bit of a better basis going on, that should help clarify what are the next steps.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions. For me, it's clear. Happy to pass. I think it's a good proposal, even though I forgot to vote. But no, happy it passed. So let's push through. I have no more questions on this.
Indeed, Alan. I'm not sure if you knew, but Lawrence recently started a family and he has had less time to focus on effect.
yeah, we are hoping to have more of his attention back soon, but obviously these things take a lot of time and energy, and which is fair. So as David said.
Okay, Alan is typing. In the meanwhile, yes, I'm aware of that. I just get impression he isn't as committed to effect. Indeed, his priority has shifted at the moment, and he does not have enough time to focus on his family and effect at the same time at the moment. And as just mentioned, we hope that he will have time again very soon to help us continue develop effect. Alan is typing. That's cool. Would be concerned if it was for business reasons. Indeed, it's a shame that Lawrence isn't available to help develop effect, but no, it's really just he doesn't have enough time at the moment. Shall we continue? So a couple of effect network updates. We also did some updates the last DAO call. I can't remember all of them. Do you remember, Rochelle, the updates that we had last time around?
Yeah, we did an update about the lay-on tasks in template and the qualifier. I urged people to complete the qualifier, and still not many are coming in to complete it, but that's okay. There's still steady tasks up for it, so the few people we have completing them are earning quite a lot of EFX right now. You have to excuse me, I'm coughing a lot today. Um, the what is it? Oh, I do have an update to share. Gabby posted a really really good blog article yesterday, and so I urge you guys to check out our tweet about it. It has the link, or go to our blog on Medium if you're already in there as a follower, and check that out. Excuse me, sorry. The air quality here is not great today. Um, but it's a really good read, and she's been busy with a new blog series. So make sure you give that a check. That's a new one. That's not an update from last time. I think last time we talked more about the Python SDK. And we were supposed to give an update about the hackathon, and I'll leave it over to David to give everyone an update about when we think we're going to be doing the hackathon. If you don't mind, I'm coughing a lot.
No, of course, of course. So for the hackathon, we had a potential partner lined up, but they did decide to not participate anymore. And with the current upgrade that we're doing at the moment, we have decided to postpone the hackathon for now until we're done with the new foundations of version 2 of the decentralized effect network. We're still hoping to do a hackathon before the year ends, but it's still unclear when that will happen.
Yeah, I can add a little bit there. So um, the hackathon day, we do not have like we were aiming for the end of September, but right now we are we're not sure what date it will like what date we will be ready to host the hackathon. Like the primary reason right now to push the hackathon because at the moment we do not have a partner to launch with. We really want to make sure Effect Network 2.0 is ready to be used in the hackathon. And there's a few elements here that we're like actively building. I know we have been a bit silent, so not everyone is in the know, but like in the GitHub activity feed, you can see that like there's like a lot of activity happening right now. We're basically developing 4 projects simultaneously, really actively, that are forming the Effect Network 2.0. And we need at least a couple of ingredients like completely finished to host a hackathon with them to really make this a success. Because if we would use the current technology that we have, we won't make like enough of a step forward, especially as we're considering a prize pool that isn't too big. And there is like compared to the last time, if we're not having like a big, like we need a good reason to host this hackathon to get people excited and motivated to join. And these 4 projects we're now developing. And this is going to be part of a write-up that we've been promising for a while without delivering yet. So things are taking longer. And like we do not want to put any dates anywhere yet because it's just taking time. But the primary ingredients are the mobile app of the of Effect Network. I think this is for me personally one of the most important ones. And we're going to write a lot about this app once it's a bit further out. But like when it's a bit more completed, it's already open source and in GitHub, so you can see the development. But it's like I said, it's not yet published to any app store. But the goal of the app, from a really overview level, is to become the most user-friendly way of using Effect Network or actually the EOS blockchain for anyone. Like it's a combination of a wallet and a task platform. So it will show you the EFX balance and like set up your account. It will be integrated into EOS, so it can safely host your private key in there. Because I think lack of proper wallets is a major issue, as well as having access to like RAM and net and resources and all that, which makes people not want to use EOS. And this is one reason why we developed a couple years ago already the Binance Smart Chain connection, which has its own like wealth of issues. So it has helped us onboard a lot of people, but at the same time it has introduced a lot of issues. I'm summarizing a lot of this in an article as it relates to what David mentioned in the beginning of the call, where we said I said it, I confirmed like I'm thinking about removing the Binance Smart Chain as a worker accounts feature, which relates to this as well, because EOS accounts are the best way to work. They're just a hassle to set up. But with this new app that we're making, there is like it completely abstracts away the blockchain. There is no need to even like it creates a free account for you in the app. You can use your biometrics to secure it and store the backup in, for example, Google Drive. We're still working on the final most secure flow for how to store this, but that's how a lot of apps are doing it in a secure way. And it will allow you to freely create an EOS account that you can then use to work with. It will still use the relayer network that we've built to freely broadcast your transactions. And you don't even need to worry about your transactions. It will have things in there like you can see your balance, like all these things like permissions and keys they're in there in the app, but you don't have to like worry setting them up. The goal is really that like my parents would be able to use this app, like, and they're not into computers or crypto at all. They just know how to use the iPhone or Android phones. Like they should be able to open this register like in 10 seconds because there's nothing different than how things normally work. And and join the network and perform tasks. So that's the idea of the app. It's like this portal that makes it really convenient to enter the network, set up your account, and just do some work. If you're a great writer or a great designer, you can do some writing or design tasks from the app or from the desktop. I mean, there's still going to be the desktop version, but for a user-friendly onboarding experience, you can just register on the phone, and after that, you can do some tasks on desktop as well, as it can be linked. So, like, there's a lot. Like, the scope of this app is pretty big, but the bare minimum version is part of like the 2.0 release of Effect Network, and it includes at least the minimum functionalities of setting up the account and getting into the Effect Network to do tasks. And this should greatly improve onboarding and also being able to see and like reach workers, as there's the option for push notifications, and you can see like your active reservations so you don't lose track of what you're doing. And it will greatly improve the like targeting of workers and requesters. So if you want to reach a certain group, this will greatly improve that as well. And it's something that not many other tasking platforms have as well. So that's one side. Then on the other side, we have basically Effect Network 2.0. It's basically a new protocol that makes a lot of new things possible. It's way more flexible, and if there's one element of this architecture refresh of Effect Network 2.0 is that it will be extremely performant. So instead of workers claiming, like picking a task and trying to claim it, which was happening before, which increased like so many issues and errors when workers were trying to join duplicate tasks. Like there were some bugs in that. The new system is more complicated, but it basically means that the smart contract distributes the task. So if I want to work, I just say to the smart contract, listen, I want to work. It will pick a task for me and distribute it to me. So there is no race conditions, and it's extremely performant because the smart contract has actually been improved in a way that it's just really quickly able to pick which worker should do which task. So it means that within like a fraction of a second, you will get a task assigned to you that you can work on. So there's less transactions going on, and there's like there's no more chance of race conditions. There's no chance of duplicate submissions of some transactions that we were seeing as a bug, but it was kind of hard to solve in the old setup. And then there's a wealth of other features, like they're all described and currently in the pull request that we still need to like polish and write a proper blog post about. This part is basically almost done. It's on testnet, it's deployed, it's basically working. But before we can trial it for the hackathon, there's two sort of sublinks or siblings or subprojects that need to be finished, which are the Python SDK and the TypeScript SDK. The Python SDK is mainly necessary to publish tasks. I would say the Python SDK right now is 60% complete. Code is also in GitHub. It can already be run. You can already publish tasks and post tasks and put it in a notebook, IPython notebook to experiment with. What mainly is missing is a management of qualifications and integration with some of the other Python tools, like fetching results and putting them into pandas data frames, or like putting them straight away into like SciPy and scikit-learn type, the machine learning infrastructure things to make sure we can go from campaign data into the other third-party libraries, so you can experiment and use Effect Network data straight away. If you look at like Kaggle or Hugging Face, you can like explore their data sets straight from their websites or from the libraries. In Effect Network, when you create a campaign, you're basically creating a data set. It just hasn't been realized, right? When you post a campaign, the first minutes when no one has done a task yet, it's basically an empty data set. But there is already you already agreed on the structure of the data. It's just empty. And as people work, that data set gets filled up more and more and more and more. So what the Python SDK can do is sort of, you see this conceptualize the campaign as like an in progress streaming data set. So you can have, even if your data set is only 10% complete, you can already load it into a notebook and like load it into your Python tools to work with. So that's part of the Python escape. It's been made possible because we have this new 2.0 version of the smart contract framework. And Python is mainly focused on managing data sets. So it's like a requester tool. It is not aimed for workers or like as a worker tool. So we're separating those two roles. And then the TypeScript SDK is more of the worker side of things. It's where like you can use JavaScript runtimes to interact with the network 2.0, and they are more focused towards like doing tasks and all that stuff, right? Setting up an account, the relay network, relaying transactions, getting access to free accounts, performing tasks, all that stuff is in there. Sorry. All that stuff is in there. And for example, the app makes use of this SDK because the app is written in React Native. So it's a native application, but it uses the JavaScript runtime for the application logic. So it makes use of the TypeScript SDK. And we're also refreshing basically that the old interface is going to the current app.effect.network. It's going to be replaced with a simple model. And beginning workers are going to be more like the current plan is that the mobile app is going to be more of the leading sort of interface to create your account. And it will have the option to actually perform tasks on the desktop. But we're also going to have like still the web interface there. And then it will focus on using the Anchor wallet to sign transactions. So that both will be equally viable. Yeah, so those are the four basically big repos that are currently being developed. And yeah, I would say we are overall like we need to make this overview, but really soon, so we can get everyone more involved and in the loop and put a date on like when is the hackathon ready to make use of the core elements of these repos. But like I would say we're at 60 to 80% of like our release hackathon worthy. And we are at this moment, things are crystal clear what has to happen. So we are, and that wasn't the case before, but at this point, things are really clear. So it's just, and we're working really hard. Like the throughput and development commits are really increasing a lot on GitHub. So yeah, we need to make the list of this release and we will share that and do a good write up, because what I'll tell you guys right now is just only a small part of everything that we're doing. So it really deserves a proper write up. And yeah, so for the hackathon, we need some of these elements that we will describe in the release note, and the exact date when this will be ready. We do not want to commit to anything, but it will not be the end of this month yet. Like we're looking at either 1 or 2 months later, at least. Yeah, so that was quite a lengthy update, but like I said, it deserves a write up. So that's something that I'm still working on as well.
It does sound like a pretty good summary of what we're trying to do. If anything, yeah, I feel that manages to paint a pretty broad picture of where we're going currently and how all of these different pieces tie in together in order to create a better platform for workers and really try to solve the issues that we've bumped up with this past year with since we decentralized the Effect Network. So I'm really excited about all of these changes and all of these technical implementations. And I know not everybody feels the same way. A lot of people just care about having a working product, making sure that EFX is flowing, making sure that proposals are being posted, that the token price is going up. But yeah, all of these different technical details need to be ironed out, and the product and service need to work well for all of these other elements to come together.
Well said, both of you.
But indeed, I do think by abstracting away the EOS account, that should really help make it easier to onboard users and not rely anymore on the Binance Smart Chain account system that we've developed. That doesn't mean we're going to step away from a Binance Smart Chain. We're still going to be supplying liquidity to the PancakeSwap pool, that's for sure. But we do notice that it's not really worth it to support the Binance Smart Chain account system, and it would be better to have everything on EOS instead of supporting BSC on the side.
Yeah, there's a few comments there. Maybe I want to make is that the reason for that is that Binance Smart Chain accounts were a great idea for the onboarding back then. I think like they were the right thing to do, but they just happened to cause so many issues over the year. And the main thing while redesigning now the architecture for workers is that we really want workers to be able to use their earnings more easily. For example, being able to automatically stake your earnings to become DAO members, like very easily, and vote on proposals and create proposals while you're like as a worker, because we've always wanted to have more workers in the DAO, but there is this divide because it's quite hard to do. While the voice of workers is actually really important to have within the DAO, it just like these things were nearly impossible to design when considering Binance Smart Chain workers because of the virtual account system we created. It sort of like makes it hard. You need like a custom implementation for every dApp or for every DeFi protocol in order to support the virtual accounts as well as the EOS accounts. And the virtual accounts is a way more complicated things with like there is cryptographic primitives involved in executing and interacting with the EOS network as a Binance Smart Chain account. So it makes it triple or even 4 times as hard. But also, like when you talk about staking, like the security is really hard to guarantee for the Binance Smart Chain worker side of things. So it was a great experiment that let us it gave us access to a lot of workers very easily because they could just use MetaMask or a private key to work. But I think with this new app approach, we can basically solve the problem while having everyone use EOS accounts, including giving them free EOS accounts. This is one thing I really want to set up. I've been working on a proposal for that, but being able to offer free EOS accounts to all the Effect Network users, or just free accounts, they hardly know it's an EOS account. Just free accounts will allow us like to get that same easy sign up and access to the same like talent pool for the workforce. And other things we can do now, like if we, for example, create a feature where you can automatically swap your earnings, like David already commented a few really helpful methods into the TypeScript SDK for converting your earned EFX straight away to USDC, or the other way around. Like if you have USDC or EOS, it can be converted straight away to EFX. Like this would be so hard to build if we were supporting Binance Smart Chain accounts, but now if we only look at EOS accounts, then it will be very like it's just 4 or 5 times as easy to implement and more secure as well. Which I think is going to be a really useful feature. So because we right now, first of all, we do not have a proper centralized exchange, which is problematic. But yeah, I'll touch on it. I see Ellen posted a question about it, so I'll touch on it a little bit after explaining this. So I think people can easily access USDC and EOS in various exchanges, right? On KuCoin or Binance or Kraken or like any big exchange, they can access these currencies. And right now in the app, they will be able to just automatically convert from EFX to those currencies. So they basically can just buy USDC or EOS on any exchange. They only have to transfer it to their app, and it will automatically put it into EFX and stake it for them. Like that chain is entirely abstracted away again. So we've been discussing this over the last few DAOs calls, and now with setting up this app, I've been working a lot on this. These things can happen seamlessly. So we can seamlessly have workers earn USDC basically, right? Or I think if we try and make the story sound, there can be a lot of benefits for workers to join the DAO, to actually stake their EFX and earnings, maybe 10%. And that will, first of all, give them rewards, and second of all, will give them a voice in the project, so they can actually create proposals with more traction, or they can vote on proposals that are important to them. But all of these are like, I don't think we could manage to roll out features like this if we do not drop support for Binance Smart Chain users. Again, this needs a proposal and a write-up by its own, but that's my major reason for saying let's focus on, like, we can provide a better alternative to free accounts and the hassle of registering on EOS without needing the Binance Smart Chain support. That's the main reason.
Indeed, and potentially this also opens up the possibility to use merchant gateways for on and off ramps using something like Stripe, for example, which can then be a premium feature of Effect Network, because at the end of the day, people just care about being able to withdraw fiat to their bank accounts, or to be able to deposit some fiat via some payment gateway into an account. And we're able to abstract away all of that by then using something like Stripe, for example. We've also noticed that a lot of people have a lot of difficulty using KuCoin. So we think we can also create a better product or a better service using these tools, instead of relying on centralized exchanges for people to get their fiat in and out of Effect Network.
Yeah, that's a good example. I think it's a bit premature to put any big statements on it, but having support for just credit card purchase from the app straight away. So you download the app, you get a free account, one credit card purchase, you can buy $50 of EFX. It will be there. You can automatically stay, like, that entire thing will being secure and accessible. I think it's possible for us to do when we roll out this app, or the web interface. I'm just talking about the app because it's the part where right now it's going to give the most user-friendly experience. And of course, the web interface will catch up there. You can also use the web interface for the same features. So to have the credit card by EFX done, I think is very, very doable, because like with this smooth swapping we got set up, you can just buy with Stripe, buy USDC with a credit card, and the app or web interface will take care of making sure that ends up as EFX in your wallet. So yeah, these are all really, I think, exciting things that we haven't like, we've been talking about them for years as essentials, but we have never solved them. And now I think we're just at that point where we have them ready to be built once we have this 2.0 ready. Yeah, I see Alan's question. Yeah, on the dashboard, this could also live, like for sure. Like all these stuff, like the DAO and the dashboard, they're all going to be they're all going to integrate with the new Effect Network. It's going to be more seamless. In the Android app, there will probably be a tab for accessing the DAO, so you can just see the proposals and vote straight away after doing your tasks, or it will just be in one scope. And I think the same will happen for the web interface. It will be all in one scope under the Effect Network, or effect.net maybe, because we have that domain name. I think we should switch it at some point. To have it all living under there.
I'm also very excited about what you mentioned about having more workers join the DAO. I think that's really important. The popularity of the DAO has been decreasing a lot lately, and we need some new life in it. And I do think the way to really increase DAO engagement is by letting workers join the DAO, and where they have extra benefits by being DAO members.
Well, like part of the vision from the very beginning was to give workers a platform where they had a say in what went on with the platform. You know, the workers traditionally don't have a voice when it comes to other platforms. Look at MTurk. So, you know, that's why we want it to be governed by the DAO, and we hope to have lots of workers in the DAO, because then the workers do control the network.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and staking as you work will be a nice, like if you as a worker, like sort of like there will be tasks out there, right? Like so we're going to make sure there's for every type of worker they open. Like I like to visualize this as an app, but it's like I said, it can be also in the website that we have, right? The web interface. You just see your tasks there, and like if you reach, maybe I think workers will be able to stake quite easily. Like that's a goal. So either you can just after you have your earnings, you can cash out X amount to your bank account and X amount will be staked or something. That's I think that's where we want to end up at. It will give workers more stake, and as a requester, like when posting tasks, you can actually target also workers on the amount of stake they have because it is all on-chain criteria. And we can have if you stake more EFX, you have more vote weight. So that's also at the same time happening. So the workers will be able to just do more when they stake more. Like the utility for EFX will become huge when we have this bigger workforce there. And also with the app, I think it just allows us to tap into a really big amount of people because just downloading it and opening it will be very easy to do. But you like you will just get a little push, even if there's a few tasks available. We make sure there is always some work for them to do. I mean, like especially in the beginning. But then when we do get big requests on board because this does happen. And right now we are struggling with the fact that a lot of our workforce is sort of dormant. So they're not really, they used to work once on the platform, but then when the tasks got less or there wasn't any more translations available or there wasn't any more transcriptions available, they sort of lost track of this. We will be able to just send out a push notification. And even if it's just for one task, someone will get that push notification, be able to reserve that task with one tap. Even if it's on desktop, they will have it reserved for a few hours and they can, within a few hours finish that task and have it done. This will just be so convenient for people to, you do not have to be 24/7 behind the computer anymore to be an effective worker and not miss out on tasks. It will be way more, you on the go, or you just can be doing something else and there's a task available, you can reserve it from your phone, and then once you have some time, you can actually finish it. I think it will allow, it will just enable us to have a way bigger, more broad workforce.
To quickly jump in on what Alan is saying about what about getting into a position whereby workers can get a certain vote weight dependent on how much work they have done for effect. Rochelle answered with, I don't like that idea. Personally, a worker getting a vote weight by number of tasks completed.
Well, but I think how that would look like is if you select, for example, I want to stake 10% of my earnings, then every task you do, 10% of that goes into staking and becomes vote weight. So it's like you can sort of achieve it, but you do have to make the sacrifice of only getting paid out 90% of your work. But you have the long-term benefit of getting stake because every task you do, 10% already goes to the pool, right, of rewards. So not only will you get a piece of that, but you will get like a piece of every worker that does a task, and 10% of that goes to the fee pool, and you will get your piece of that. So you will get like possibly when the platform has more traction, you will get higher returns on that than the 10% you lose. And also you get the vote weight. But you sacrifice liquidity because and the 10% isn't gone because you stake it. You can still take it out. So it's like a win-win-win. I think although staking 10% will be a very or maybe more, right? Out of staking 20% will be a very viable option for a worker. Or like, why not stake 100% if you're dedicated? Like if you do not need cash and you're just dedicated, you just want to, you maybe think the project is undervalued or you just want to accumulate crypto, you can just stake 100%.
But I do think there is a good point being made here about how a lot of DAOs also have this problem where people try to mine tokens by voting. And when they have a lot of capital within a certain DAO, it creates this weird dynamic. So I do think the topic is worth exploring in the future, but it's a little beyond the scope at the moment of what we're trying to do, and we want to focus on the workforce part of it and the workforce interface before we think about how the DAO should change.
Yeah, you're right. So I do agree on that part, Shelly. So for the long term, I think it's actually a good idea to look at something like that. For the short term, I would be like, yeah, I would say now let's just stake a percentage of your earnings. But it is true. It is like there's this thing where a whale can just buy a lot of, or no, a whale, like anyone can buy a lot of things, get an insane amount of vote power, and like small workers would like never get close to that because their earnings might not resemble what people put in. So that it's very like yeah, it can be abused like David mentioned. So yeah, it's definitely worth to reconsider that model because we do have all that data on chain, like number of tasks completed that we could possibly use to give active workers more weight than for as long as they're active than people that don't do tasks or that haven't done tasks. I think that does make sense. Yeah. So a good point to keep in mind for later on. For everyone that's listening, I think, I don't know if we should maybe put these chats in the transcription because I'm reading along now in the chat, but it's nice to see, I think, as context.
Indeed, sometimes we mention the chats out loud as well during the call so that they're also recorded. So, as I mentioned, Alan asked, what about getting into a position whereby worker get a certain vote weight dependent on how much work they have done for effect? Rochelle answered with, I don't like that idea personally. A worker getting a vote weight by number of tasks completed. Alan asked, amount of EFX earned? No, not that either, answered Rochelle, because I could create a task that pays 200,000 EFX and then have a qualification attached to it with my requester account, then assign my worker account to that. Then, as a worker, complete my own tasks. Alan, I understand. Rochelle, worker reputation should always be separate from DAO vote weight. I do think that does give a pretty clear picture of updates and considerations that we've been making. I think the last point is the one about, are we moving forward with finding a centralized exchange?
Yeah, so about the exchange, like Like at first, as a core team member, like I don't really like I don't pursue like listing on exchanges, but because we're like a utility token, but we have had like conversations with and offers from exchanges. They vary a bit from being like pretty outrageous to acceptable, but like it's that they might even be there are also like a lot of just bad exchanges in my experience. Um, Bad in the sense that there's just barely any real users on there. So I think we have to shy away from all that too. Like it won't do any good. Um, One thing that always helps is to have clear traction and a clear runway. So, but there is steps being taken forward, and there is interest from exchanges. We are like the token is pretty. It looks the FX token just is very illiquid right now. I think one solid way, especially when we start working with using credit cards and being able to like very seamlessly go from USDC to EFX, like from a really idealistic standpoint, I think that is the most beautiful, best way for people to trade, to use the EFX token to get it or to sell it. And it should be able to create the same amount of traction. But from a realistic standpoint, I know that there is this massive group of token holders, traders, and people that also have interest in the project, but only through centralized exchanges. So yeah, it's extremely important for the project and for the token attention, we get like a listing that's good. I do personally think it like there is a limit to like with the current market and everything, it needs to be worth it because it's a bit of a this environment and the exchanges and how this all functions is a bit scammy and bad, and they're always trying to make like they're just trying to make quick cash, and they're like it has to be worth it in the long term. Exchanges disappear all the time. They just fall through. Like I don't want to make a like to make a decision that's going to have a like short term little excitement, but then long term big harm for the project. So yeah, I cannot give much more details on this at the moment, but we are taking steps forward. And my like view on this is that if we make sure this app works well, people get liquidity easily from EOS or USDC. They can be like it's actually the same amount of time to go to Binance to buy EOS and withdraw it to your wallet, and then you receive it in EFX. I think we can receive for user standpoint and user growth a lot of the benefits, and then or just being able to purchase it with your credit card. And then it's equally important we also get like proper liquidity on centralized exchanges to attract the rest of the world to the project. So both are extremely important. But I don't, yeah, there's not much else I can add right now. We do not have any updates like concretely right now on developments there.
Thanks
In
for
the
that.
chat, Alan says, without an exchange, the FX is doing nothing. We need those people to attract interest. I completely agree. Like, I absolutely agree. There is yeah, those two divides. So I 100% agree with what Alan says there.
Indeed, and I also agree that it helps the token. It helps bring attention when the token price is going up, when there is liquidity on centralized exchanges. But at the moment, it does feel like we're in a little bit of a corner. as Jesse mentioned, it's more important to start creating liquidity from other channels instead of relying on exchanges for liquidity at the moment.
We absolutely need life in the project. Yeah, I 100% agree. Just all the ingredients need to be good, and we are lacking on a few things, and we need to improve. Like communication needs to be so much better. We need to write this plan. I think how I described it in this call is a in my head, I see so clearly how that looks like and how the potential, how big that is. And I also see like how we are currently like at the most, like the deepest point in yeah, like we're once again at a really deep point when you look at like attraction of people to the project. Not having a centralized exchange list really is bad, bad as well for us in that sense. At the same time, I think the potential is so huge. So we need to improve everything like communication, the roadmap, the releases, the hackathon, and an exchange listing. I think if one of those by itself would happen overnight, it would like lose its value and its way to push it up, like to make life come back into the project. So I think any of those by itself is not going to be good in that way. I think if you, yeah, the markets are also incredibly like being listed on an exchange and looking at the markets is very important to take into consideration, in my opinion. Yeah, so we need to make sure we get all of these elements right. Potential is, I think, huge. I think if we get users onboarded and working, it's the one ingredient, like it's the backbone of the project. It's the one thing that if that works, the rest will go well. I think that's by itself. Like it needs the rest of the elements I mentioned, but I think we can get that going with just a couple of the ingredients, and then once we have users onboarding, that's when everything will fall into place, like in a good way. And users, if they can use credit card payments to buy and sell EFX, I think that's going to be a big attraction point, looking back at how we always functioned and how we had this hard setup with paying through PayPal sometimes. Like that's where we can also really shine in the next updates. Yeah, maybe getting a bit off track here, but yeah, I agree with what's being said in the chat.
Indeed, the project potential is still there. There are also other blockchain projects that are trying to do decentralized data annotation. There's a lot of demand being generated still for data annotation and training machine learning models. So I personally believe that there's still a lot of potential for the project to grow, onboard lots of users, and for the token price to go up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think what Effect Network stands for is becoming more and more one of the important pieces of of the whole crypto and AI and basically over computer age, because having like a way to be human and having access to human data is getting more and more hard and ambiguous, and like captchas are not even like they're not even getting close to proving a human being human, right, or identity. If you look at WorldCoin, that the coin is basically, it's a massive project, but they're only like it's all built around one thing, and that's to identify someone's human by scanning their eyeball. And like, I think what Effect Network is also doing is, if we are a network of humans, right? Like, establishing someone's identity is hard. And I think we can, like, we don't establish identity, but maybe sort of, but we definitely establish in a good way if someone's human, and have proof for that on chain, and actually give people access to human data on chain. I think it's one of the more important pieces that are necessary for interacting with technology, and yeah, getting reward for your data, and buying and collecting data, all that data collecting stuff.
Crypto tokens for fiat. We believe the best way to approach this problem is by using stablecoins. Lehul may ask in the future, maybe. And I don't think
Well,
so.
we're with liquidity pools, like, it's not an exchange, but you're still exchanging. We can use liquidity pools to exchange one currency like EFX for USDT, which is what we're doing now in the new version. You can just get your earnings in USDT. And at USDT, you can, to get it in your bank account, you could use exchanges, or like Stripe, which also like uses sort of uses an exchange. But I think from a practical viewpoint, you can get around, like, you can trade for anything through liquidity pools. What exchanges, centralized exchanges, do offer is like trading bots to use, like, to do trading algorithms. Sorry, like, really, like, yeah, creating all these trading and how do you call it, like, blitz trading, and like people that are doing the bots, and big companies that are using these liquid exchanges to do very frequent transactions and predict the markets, and all that stuff. It's just not happening in the decentralized exchange world yet. I don't know if it will ever happen like that, but from a user perspective, I think we can get a far away. But like Ellen mentioned before, like, there's just a whole group of people and entities interested in projects that only rely on centralized exchanges, which is unfortunate and true. Cool. We're already a bit over time. I actually have to
Yes.
soon. I don't know if did we have more items on the.
No, that was it. I think we covered most of it today. There were no other agenda items. I think most of the items for the update, we managed to discuss, and you managed to talk about, and Rochelle as well. So yeah, we will download the transcript soon, and we'll have this written out soon as well. So the rest of the community can read it as well. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Jesse and Rochelle, for being here today and giving us your thoughts. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Ciao.